Hello friends, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Becky if you're new, and today we are going to be making a triple berry trifle. And the first thing we're going to do is actually make the cake portion of this dessert. So I thought it would be fun to come up with a really fun kind of summery dessert that could be perfect for a potluck that you have this summer, or even a 4th of July if you live in the US, a 4th of July celebration, because we are going to be using red, white, and blue today to make this cake. So I went to the farmer's market and I picked up these absolutely incredible raspberries, strawberries, and blueberries that I already washed up this morning so that they had time to dry out before we're actually going to assemble our trifle. Now, the recipe that I'm going to link for you down below is from Amanda's Cookin'. It's called her blog is Amanda's Cookin', and she has like 10 or 15 beautiful looking trifle recipes, and I went with this one because we're not going to have to do any cooking on the stove, and this one looks fantastic. But before we can actually assemble the trifle, we need to make the cake. So I've already pre-measured out all my ingredients for the pound cake that we're going to make. Her recipe says she likes to use a store-bought cake, but I figured we might as well go ahead and make a cake as well so we can spend a little bit more time in the kitchen. So I've pre-measured out my sugar, and I've got 1 cup of butter and sugar in here. I'll link the pound cake recipe and the trifle recipe down below for you if you want to try this. And I know that I have my dry ingredients in wet mixing bowls, and that's just because I didn't have enough regular small bowls to fit all of my dry ingredients. So I measured it out in using like a dry mix measuring cup, and then I just put it in here. So Josh is going to turn the volume down for just a second while I cream the butter and sugar together in this bowl. So go ahead, Josh.
We're good. So you're gonna mix for 2 minutes, it sounds like.
Yep.
I am checking chat for questions. Hopefully my mic isn't too loud with the mixer, but I think we're good.
Yes.
Hello everyone. I see a lot of hellos from various locations all over the US. We've got South Wales, UK, Ontario, Canada, Guyana, South America. That's awesome. Germany, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. I will be trying to collect some questions as we go here. I have a few from the community posts that we did before going live. So I have a few of those collected. And then if you do have a really important question, we'll try to scan it, but if you do like all caps or something, I'm more likely to find it. I'm going to turn Becky back up.
Perfect. So I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl here. And what we're doing is we're trying to cut the sugar into the butter to make this cake nice, light, and fluffy. I'm going to mix it just a little bit more. You want to answer questions?
Yes, let me get. I've got like 3 screens open on a MacBook laptop's screen, so turn you back up.
So if you want to turn me back up?
Yep.
So if you're new, my name is Becky and my husband is here and his name is Josh.
Hello.
And he does the collecting questions and things like that and helps me with the tech side. So he'll be here with us the whole time we're making this. So now I'm going to go ahead and mix in my eggs one at a time. This is a pretty classic pound cake recipe, except this recipe has something kind of fun that I had never put in a pound cake recipe until I made this recipe, and it's delicious. And I'll get to that in just a minute. So we're going to put 4 eggs in here. My eggs and my butter, my milk, and all of this stuff is room temperature. I pre-measured everything and got it out a little bit ago so that it would be ready for us when we started making this dessert.
Great. So we do have some questions already.
Oh wow,
of course. Awesome. A couple of the questions from before the stream. There's a question from RC asking about our future plans.
Oh yeah.
Of course, that's a very broad topic, but we do have quite a few plans. In the near future, we're actually planning to go and do some remote filming.
Yeah.
At Tillamook.
We're going to take you to the Oregon coast.
Should be fun going crabbing and doing some of the typical stuff that our family would do when we go to the coast. We'll do some filming and vlogging of that. And then I also see some questions about the greenhouse and the chickens. And the greenhouse, that project is stalled out a little bit, mostly just because a lot of other stuff has been happening and we haven't I guess I haven't ridden that horse, so to speak. But we met with some, couple salespeople.
Yeah.
And we've just, I guess, fallen off the communication wagon a little bit. So we need to start that conversation back up. There were some questions about whether or not we're doing chickens. You should do your next step.
Okay, so we'll get to those questions. So I just added in vanilla extract and some vanilla extract. So I think I said that twice. So I just added in a little bit of almond extract and vanilla extract. The almond extract is something that's a little bit different. And I've been seeing that more and more in recipes, and we are big fans of almond extract. And I think that's gonna pair really well with all of the fruit that we're gonna be putting into this trifle. But if you don't like almond extract, go ahead and leave that out of the recipe. So now that we've got our wet mixture mixed in here, I have pre-measured out my baking powder and salt, and I've pre-measured out my flour. So I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a mix in here together. And then we'll get half of this dry mixture in here. We're gonna mix this together, and we're gonna alternate our dry mix with our wet mixture. So here, I have some yogurt, a full fat yogurt, and milk. And I'm just gonna mix those together a little bit. And now that our flour is nicely incorporated, I'm gonna put half of this mixture in here. Mix this together. Whoop. Some of it did land on my floor, but that's okay. And then once that's fully mixed, we'll add some more of our dry mix. And I did preheat the oven to 350 degrees, so that is should be ready to go. We're at 349 right now, so it's gonna be perfect timing. I just added a little bit more of my dry mixture. That was my oven preheating. Add the rest of my wet mixture. And I'm collecting bowls here. I'm gonna mix this together. And that's how fast and easy it is to make a pound cake once we get the last of our flour mixture in here. I love making pound cakes in the summer because it just goes so well with fresh fruit and it's so easy. There's no like cake decorating or anything like that. You just bake it and it's ready to go for you. Now this recipe does say not to over mix it. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually just mix it that much, and then I'm gonna hand mix it for the rest of this go around. And then we'll get it into a baking dish. I did look up the history of the trifle, and it dates back to the 18th century. And
I think you said 15th in medieval times, right?
Well, honestly, there was actually Josh, you could Google it real quick and talk about it when I wash this bowl out. You could read what I found. There was two different time frames that it said that it dates back to, but it's traditionally British, and it was traditionally made with leftover cake, and it was a way to use up leftover stale cake, basically. And it traditionally has a fruit component, a custard component, a cream component, and a lot of times the cake would be soaked in some sort of alcohol. We're not gonna put anything like that in this one in particular, but originally they usually were soaked in some sort of liquor of some sort. So I'm just finishing mixing this in together, because one of the resources when I was looking at the history, because I just looked at it like 4 minutes before we started going live, said medieval times, and then one said the 18th century, so I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, it looks like it went back as early as the 15th century,
Okay.
with 16th century being kind of the official start. It became popular in the 18th century.
Okay, so now I have here a 9x5 loaf pan that I have lined with parchment paper, and that is just gonna help ensure that we can get this cake out of the pan.
So I should answer some questions about bees because I've seen a lot of bee stuff
Go
come
for
up. So just to preempt all those two, the bees are doing great. They're thriving. They're loud. They're active on very sunny days. There's, I would say a swarm, but not technically a swarm, just a lot of bees coming in and out of the hives. We've had to add a little water feature next to the hives because they found they were coming over to our deck to get water.
Yeah.
Because there's always water on the green stalks and other planters. So we've given them a better source for water so they're not up in our business all the time.
Yep.
But they're doing great. And no, we have not gotten honey from them yet. We want to wait until they're very well established and until they start putting honey up above the brooder box. So I'm not expecting any honey this year. We'll probably wait till next year to make sure we're not, taking from their supply. We want them to be doing really well before we start stealing from them. So
yeah, it's pretty common to not get honey your first year because you want to make sure because honey is what they eat all winter. And so you want to make sure that they have enough food all winter. So here is our cake, and I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven. And that's going to take a good hour to an hour and 10 minutes to bake. And obviously we're not going to sit here and watch that bake for an hour and 10 minutes. So yesterday I baked one up. But before we can actually start layering the trifle, because we're at that point now, is I need to go wash this. So if you have any more questions you want to answer, I'm going to go get this washed up.
Well, I have some questions for you to answer actually.
Okay.
But I'm going to turn down your mic, I think. I'll find some better ones.
This.
Yeah. We have some questions about some of the upstairs work that we've done. I think I saw one about why we did the kills on the floor. And part of that was just because it was kind of older floor and there was some old carpet on it. And it was kind of, I guess, grody is a word my family would use to describe it. So we just did that to kind of make sure no smells or anything permeated through that layer. And we have, I guess, as of this past week, I have finished the trim. So we're starting to get our next stages in line. We've got some painters lined up and then some carpet we'll have installed, and then we'll be actually able to use it, which will be amazing. Someone asked when the kitchen work was completed. We haven't done anything in the kitchen yet, so that's probably a little ways off, just budgetarily, and then trying to find time for it. We'll need to find a time where we can probably be out in the garden doing project work for videos, because it'll probably take the kitchen out of commission for a little bit, which is not great for what we're doing. But so it will probably likely be next summer, if I had to guess.
Can you unmute me?
Yep, you're good now.
Awesome. So now what we're going to do is start making our components for the trifle. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the whipped cream. So I think it's more traditional to make it with a custard, so like a homemade pudding, but we only have one camera angle right now. And so I found this recipe and it looks delicious. And we're going to use cream cheese and cream, and we're going to make just a really yummy mixture, cream mixture layer to go in this trifle. So this is some heavy whipping cream. So the only areas Josh still has to work on trim are the two doors that are in the kitchen. So that project is almost completely done.
So we do have some super chats, by the way, and some questions from super chats.
Yeah.
So we have one from actually related to the pound cake that you're doing. Is this something you can freeze?
You know, I don't know. I wouldn't think so, because if you were going to, I would say no. You could make the cake in advance, freeze the cake, pull that out, and then make the custard portion and then layer it together. I think that would work really well.
I think the whole purpose of this was to try and get rid of stuff you have like around. So probably freezing it isn't a typical use case.
So I just added into this bowl 3 cups of heavy whipping cream, 1/3 of a cup of powdered sugar, and a good probably tablespoon of vanilla. I'm gonna whip this up, so if you wanna mute me, if there's any questions you can answer, Josh, then this is gonna take a minute to whip up.
I do have a question about, actually, I'll wait for that for you, but we have 2 super chats. One from Janet Castro for $50, and then one from Lady Q for 50 Canadian. which is extremely generous, and we appreciate it a lot. It's awesome. And then we have one from... We have a comment from James, or James, his name is. He says, "Greetings from Antarctica. My garden dies a lot, so I have to use frozen food, but your recipes are still delicious."
Oh, thank you.
So that's very sweet of you, James. Thank you. I happen to know James, so...
You happen to...
I happen to know James.
Oh, is it James?
It's James, yes.
Oh. So Josh, do you want to tell him what I'm doing here since I can't talk?
She is cutting the pound cake into slices, I'm guessing to use for the layers within the trifle. I can't actually see directly because I've got the mixer in the way. The mixer sounds terrible. I think the bowl is...
Oh, yeah,
I was just going to make a comment on the bowl. I think the bowl got bent or something, and so the beater is kind of ricocheting off the bowl. It does seem like it still kind of works, but it's a little rough.
I need to buy a new bowl.
It's time for a new bowl, probably a new beater as well. They keep chipping, so we keep getting rid of them so we're not getting chips in the food.
Sorry, the whipped cream is not the most exciting part.
Becky says, sorry, the whipped cream's not the most exciting part, if you can't hear that. We have a super chat from Jennifer Ocean Homestead asking for any advice for new small channels, any do's and don'ts. I can wait for Becky to be done with the whipped cream for her side of it, but I know that what we usually recommend is to, if you want your channel to be something that you're running as a business, run it as a business. If you want it to be just something fun, then just have fun with it, but always be yourself with whatever you're doing. That's really important because it comes through as forced if you're not. I think we had another one that I missed here.
I'm actually going to move this a little bit even farther away from you so it's not quite so loud.
Yeah, that thing is intense.
Yeah. We'll go over here.
That's a great idea.
Just
then
so
you can actually talk while you're doing stuff too.
Yeah. A little bit quieter over there. I'll put these away.
I would say, so I'm not mute. I don't have you muted right now.
I'm not muted?
Nope, because you're...
Oh, okay.
I think it's probably acceptable.
So I think Josh had good points on that. So if you want to have a channel where you can span the test of time, make sure you try to be yourself as much as possible. That's why I'm not an expert at anything. You know, you're just coming along and enjoying the ride with my cooking adventures and my gardening adventures. Sometimes they turn out. So just be yourself, be consistent, show up. YouTube likes consistency, like the algorithm likes consistency.
I do have a question here from a super chat earlier.
Yep.
Asking about with freezer meals, how do you avoid freezer burn with them?
I think making sure that you wrap them appropriately. So if you use a foil pan, I think 2 layers of foil and 2 layers of plastic wrap is the way to go. With the dishes that I've been using, with the snap lids, those work really well. And making sure you go through them in a reasonable amount of time. So here's our whipped cream. It's got a nice, stiff, beautiful peak to it. So what I need to do is actually remove all of this cream from this bowl because we have one more component that we need to whip up in this bowl. And that's going to be the cream cheese component. So I'm just going to transfer this into this bowl because we'll come right back to it. Now that I'm looking at this, I kind of think I maybe should have done all 4 cups of cream I had, but it'll probably be enough by the time I add the cream cheese. So to this bowl, I actually need my beater back, so I'm going to wash that real quick. So if you have a question, Josh, I'm just going to wash my beater because it says to beat the cream cheese, not use the whisk for the cream cheese.
Sure. We have some other questions about the work we had done at the house so far. So we did have HVAC work done. Maybe that's where the question around the kitchen came from. But
oh yeah, probably.
We did have our main furnace go out and the heat pump go out. So we had to have that replaced, which was a lot of fun. It's a fun operation. But while we were at it, we did upgrade the kitchen HVAC system. It now has its own heat pump up in the attic that will keep Becky nice and cool.
Yes.
When she's cooking in the summer, it is brutal. The amount of heat the propane stove and the propane oven puts off. And if she has a couple ovens going. And then, so what we've done in the past is we've just had the AC on like 67 and then the rest of the house is freezing. So
Yes.
this will be great.
So I just put in here 2 blocks of cream cheese, 1 cup of powdered sugar, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And we're going to beat this together until it's nice and creamy. My cream cheese is completely room temperature, so it's super, super soft. I took it out of the refrigerator the very first thing I did this morning. So that's all we needed to do to mix that together because the cream cheese was so soft, it whipped up really, really easily. You can also, if you forget, because most of the time I forget to take my, my butter and my cream cheese out of the refrigerator to soften to room temperature, you can also pop it in the microwave for 10 to 30 seconds. Just check it depending on how hot your microwave runs. And then another trick, if you forget to take your eggs out of the refrigerator and you need them at room temperature, just put them in hot tap water for about 2 to 3 minutes. And that way you can get them nice and soft without, you can't obviously put an egg in the microwave to warm it up. That's what I did yesterday when I made this because I didn't have my eggs at room temperature and this turned out beautifully. Okay, so now we've got our cream cheese mixture. So this is what's taking the place of what would traditionally be the custard or the pudding mixture. And I'm going to take half of my whipped cream. Oh yeah, this will be enough because we just need this whipped cream for the top layer. And I'm going to fold this cream into this cream cheese, lemon, and sugar mixture.
While you're doing that, we did get a couple more super chats.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so generous.
We got $20 from Joanne King, probably, that says, been watching you from the start. Because of you, I've started my own garden and canning. And she says, hi, Josh.
Yay. That makes me so happy. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. We also have a donation from Laura's Monologue. She says, thank you for keeping me company every other day. I don't cook or garden, but I love spending time with you in your kitchen and gardens. Thanks for being a friend.
I appreciate the fact that you all take time out of your day to hang out with me.
Yeah.
It means the world to me. So I'm going to just put this over here just so it's out of our way because we don't need it anymore. But what we do need, I'm just going to wipe my hands to make sure I don't put any fingerprints.
I'm not skipping over. There's a donation from Fierce Warrior. They say, I don't know, I guess. They say, hi from rural Australia.
Oh, wow.
Love your channel. And then how's the garden going?
The garden is doing so well. So last time I did a full tour with you all, there was a lot that was struggling. A few things had died and it was just, it happens. And right now it is exploding and it is my favorite place to be. I go out there all day, every day, as much as I can. And I have a full update coming to you guys soon so you can see just how amazing it has exploded. So now what we're going to do is start layering our trifle. I just got this. I can link this down below along with the recipes. I have actually never made this before. This is the first time I'm making it and I'm making it with you all. I've always wanted to, but I haven't had a trifle bowl. And so this was the perfect excuse. I think that this would be perfect for any sort of dinner party because you can scale this really easily and you can just make a big batch and it looks really, really pretty and impressive. When I was looking at recipes for this, I saw some really, really cool ones where you make a jelly roll and then you put the jelly rolls out like that, and that would be very beautiful. So we're gonna layer this. So I just have one layer of cake at the bottom, and then we are going to layer this with our strawberry freezer jam that we made live together last time we were in the kitchen, and I need to grab a spoon. You could pop this in the microwave if you needed to, if you were using a more stiff jam, one that would be canned, because those tend to be a little bit stiffer than the freezer jam. But because mine is a freezer jam, it's pretty loose. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here. And Josh has now been enjoying this for, I think, 2 weeks. So you wanna give him an update on your review of the freezer jam versus the canned jam?
I think they're both great. They both have their place. Becky asked me a couple of days ago whether or not she should make more of either.
Yeah,
but I have a trouble like saying, oh, you should make one versus the other. They both kind of have their place. So my thought was that the freezer jam, which has more of like a fresh berry kind of flavor, is a little bit brighter. My suggestion was to make some of that we have more like in the summer when it's in season, and then still have the canned stuff, or the jarred stuff. Jarred?
Canned.
You can it in a jar.
Yeah. You can use it synonymously, I think.
Yeah. Having that year round is really awesome, so we don't want to be short on that either.
I just bought another flat of strawberries at the farmer's market. We are getting tons of strawberries coming in from the green stalks that I planted up. The bare root strawberry plants that I just planted for the first time this year have not started producing. They've got flowers on them, but no fruit yet. The strawberry plants that I transplanted from the previous garden into the green stalks, those are the ones that are producing, but none of the berries are coming into the house. We get probably 5 berries a day, and they're just enjoyed out on the patio.
Very quickly
harvested, yes.
Some of the green ones have also been harvested.
Yeah, we would have more strawberries if the green ones weren't being picked, but they're being enjoyed too, so we'll just leave it. Now, you could do a lot of different things to get this cream cheese mixture into this trifle dish. The recipe stated you can use a pastry bag, you can use a Ziploc bag, you could scoop it, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and just use a Ziploc bag.
While you're doing that, we got a super chat from Texas My Texas for $50.
Oh my goodness, you all are so generous.
And they asked, why did you choose a flow hive over a traditional square body hive?
That is a great question.
And I can answer that. I think there's, as we've gotten into the bees, it's not that crazy. So you're just cutting the tip off there?
Yeah. Not as intimidating as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but prior to getting started, it was very daunting to think about getting bees and taking care of the bees. And so to be able to just have that one less barrier to entry, a little bit easier on the harvesting side. And they give a lot of tutorials and have some class stuff too that kind of helps consolidate a lot of the information in one place. So do we need one? Probably not. Having started now, it doesn't seem like as big of a deal, but I think it'll be nice when we go to harvest it in a little bit to be able to just, without all the mess, just get some of the honey out.
And we actually have traditional hives we bought, but right before we moved into this property, I am a member of our local bee community association, and I had been taking classes or going to the meetings before. Well, started doing that 3 years ago.
Yep.
And one of the beekeepers was selling some of his stuff. And so it was a great price. And so we have 2 whole hives of traditional hives. But when we started, we thought, let's just start with all new, get into it, get a little bit more experience, and then we will use those. We're definitely going to use them. But we just thought that this would be easier. Okay, so that's our first layer in there. We've got 1 layer of pound cake, 1 layer of freezer jam, and then our cream cheese layer. Now I'm going to take some of these blueberries that I've washed and destemmed, and I'm just gonna put some of these in here, and this is what's gonna make this red, white, and blue. And we'll get some of those.
And we got a super chat from Miss Maria. It says, hey from Denmark. Thanks for your lovely persona.
Oh, thank you. I had the opportunity to go to Denmark when I was in college. When I was in high school, we had a Danish exchange student who was on my swim team, and she ended up moving in to my parents' house for a few months before she went back to Denmark. And then when I was in college, my best friend and I had the opportunity to go to Denmark, and you have a beautiful, beautiful country.
Are there any other fruits and stuff that could be used in this trifle?
Oh, yeah.
Or typically used?
Yeah, so the recipe that I'm going to link to on her website, her name is Amanda's Cookin'. She had a carrot cake trifle, a pumpkin trifle, a raspberry. This actually is supposed to be just a plain raspberry trifle, but I had strawberry jam, so I'm just adapting this to what I had, and I thought it would be fun to kind of do a 4th of July one. So you could do just raspberries. You could do, instead of using strawberry, you could use blueberry jam in this and just have 100% blueberry. And she had tons of ideas of what you could do for different trifles. Okay, so I need to put at least a third of this. So now I'm adding some more of our cream cheese mixture. So if you want to be inspired, oh, she also had like chocolate ones, which I think would be fun in the winter to do like a chocolate trifle. So instead of using a vanilla-based cake, you could use a chocolate-based cake or even brownies. I think I saw that online too, which would be fun. A lot of different options there.
Have you ever tried zucchini spaghetti?
I have once. I think I made it for us.
Is that like
Zoodles.
Zoodles?
Yeah. They're kind of watery, so usually we just like to eat our zucchini and then to not in pasta form.
My mom has been in a phase for the last...
Well, last year she got a lot of zucchini.
She got the zoodle maker, and she had a lot of zucchini, so she was doing everything with zucchini. And so we had a little... we would call everything that was zucchini based, we would just like append or prepend a Z to it. So we had zoodles, we had zitza.
We had Zapple pie.
Zapple pie.
Which actually was pretty, no, it was Zapple crisp.
Zapple crisp, yeah, that was good.
That was pretty good. You peel the zucchini, you de-seed them.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And fun to say words that start with Z that aren't words.
Yes. So this trifle dish is pretty big. So you could actually double this recipe if you get this trifle dish, and you could make a very, very, very large trifle in this dish. And this would be really good if you have a party. This would sit really well in the refrigerator, I think. It'd probably be better if it sat in the refrigerator for a few hours and the jam kind of soaked into the cake and the custard and all kind of married together. I was also thinking another cool way that you could adapt this for a party, if you were having a smaller dinner party and you didn't want to make this massive dish, you could use like wine glasses and you could do individual servings. I thought would be really pretty too. Okay, so now I'm going to put the rest of our cream cheese mixture on here. You know, I was just thinking the question about could you, prep this and freeze it in advance. I will have an extra pound cake that I will probably throw in the freezer after it cools. And so that would be a good...
I guess we'll see, yeah. See
yeah,
if that works out.
Maybe I'll make this again for the 4th of July and I'll use that pound cake.
Okay, a couple other rapid fire, unless you need to explain something.
Nope, go for it.
Rapid fire questions that we've gotten a few times.
Yep.
So real quick on the greenhouse, we don't have any
yeah.
updates on that. It's still a priority, but it's not a high priority. So it's probably going to be, I don't know, fall at the earliest, but probably next year sometime.
I think it'll be next year.
I think the chicken coop is a higher priority to us. So we definitely want to get them up in a more permanent position. They seem to be happy where they're at, but we'd like for them to have more room to frolic.
Yeah.
So that's something that's prioritized this year for sure. A few people have asked where our kitchen table came from. I think it was Crate and Barrel.
I think so.
And they have a larger version of it currently that we've thought about swapping in because this one's a little small for the space. We also have a question about which vacuums I use. I have a Dyson like handheld vacuum that I really like. It's lightweight. It has a little laser which seems cool that like shows the dust and stuff. So I use that a lot.
It actually works really well. It seems gimmicky, but
the laser highlights the dust really well. And it's not sponsorship or anything like that. It's just I like the product. And then there is also a electric mop thing that we have, which is from Roborock. And that one's pretty decent, but it takes a little bit to clean out, so we don't use it as often as just, using some spray on the floor.
Josh is the residential floor cleaner in our house.
I love a good clean floor.
Yeah.
And then another question we've had a few times is who edits? And that is a family friend who now has an editing business. It was initially a side hustle, but now he's doing it full time. He is doing the edits for us. So that's been a huge blessing.
So I'm going to grab a paper towel so that I can clean the edge of this trifle. So what I just did while you all were talking is I'm gonna get a little water on it. Added the whipped cream. I want to just make this nice and pretty. Just the plain whipped cream that we had whipped that I didn't mix into the cream cheese mixture.
We have a question from Christina Werner. This one seems to come up every time. Is you have beautiful hair. Do you ever let it down?
I do, but not normally when I'm working. Normally it's when, Josh and I go out or, we have a family event or whatever. Just when I was a dental hygienist for a very long time, so I'm just used to, when I'm in work mode, garden mode, cooking, whatever it might be, it's just easier for me because my hair is very, very long. It's easier for me to keep it out of my face.
And then we have a suggestion from Savannah for a new themed dinner, which would be yummy dinners on a budget.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So now that we've got this beautiful blank canvas on the top, I think I want to go ahead and decorate it a little bit. So I'm just going to grab a cutting board down here. And you could do whatever you want. You could just leave this plain. I have all my drawers open. I'll close those real quick. I'm going to go ahead and just decorate this cake. Let me think about it. How do I want to do this? These strawberries. I want to get some strawberries on the top because there's strawberry jam in here, but there's no fresh strawberry fruit. So let's see. I think I'm going to slice them. This part I did not have a plan. I just knew that I wanted enough fruit washed. I think I'll just flare them open just a little bit.
We've apparently had a comment from someone that says that they've done a savory trifle with like pizza, like a pizza trifle.
Oh, wow.
Which definitely sounds intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very creative, unique idea. So I'm just going to put, I think, 3 strawberries in the center here.
There's also a question from Terry Lynn Burton who asks, will you ever do your own cookbook in the future?
That is on the list of things. I have started an outline and we've been working on it. It's a lot of work and it's going to be something that I think it'll happen. It's just a matter of when it'll happen, I think.
There's so many other large worthwhile projects to get done for sure. But we have met with publishers and had several meetings on that. It's just not, there's not enough time right now in the day to do it effectively. Yeah,
so the team that works on all of this is me, Josh, and my editor. So it's just a matter of trying to prioritize what, where our best time spent is. And I think that when we do that, we might need to bring on a little bit more help because I'm not a food photographer or anything like that. So, and we don't really know where to start with all that. So if we go with a traditional publisher, they will help you with that. But if we self-publish, you've got to find all those people to help you. And that takes time.
And ultimately, if it's your cookbook, it's going to take a lot of time from you.
Yes. Yes.
It's hard to delegate, Becky. A lot of my stuff could be delegated, the editing could be delegated, but when it comes to the talent, that's not really possible. So,
Thanks, Boo.
hey, you're welcome.
So I'm just taking these raspberries and I'm putting them around the edge here. You could do whatever you wanted when it comes to this.
Okay, another persistent question
Yep.
is, have you ever thought of making almond extract yourself?
No, because I'm not exactly sure what almond extract. Is it actually almonds that they extract to get that flavor? Because
I'm sure there's a version of it that is. Isn't there a chemical?
they don't
or
taste
something?
like, it doesn't taste like almonds to me. It tastes like water, organic alcohol, natural oil of bittered almonds, and sweet almond oil. So I wonder if it's a particular type of almond.
Maybe that's a good reason to make it
Yeah, that would
yourself.
be.
Seems interesting. I never would have thought through that far.
I
fun.
just never was exactly sure what it was because to me, I love almonds and I don't think almond extract tastes like almonds. But it might be a particular type of almond. I have made other types of extracts before. If you have dehydrated fruits, you can make any kind of like lemon extract or raspberry extract or freeze-dried fruits. I've made with dehydrated mint, I've made mint extract. Obviously, lots and lots of vanilla extract. You're gonna see how we made vanilla sugar. I just made 2 more gallons of vanilla sugar last week, so you're gonna see that here shortly. Okay, let me go rinse my hands off so I don't keep making.
Okay. While she's doing that, we've had a couple of people ask about whether or not we might do a live in the garden. I think we've talked about it and thought about doing that. Certainly, it's a little bit easier to do the cooking live because we don't have like bandwidth constraints. That looks great.
So we're gonna have to do a taste test. I'm gonna bring it around so you can kind of see the top a little bit better. So I think ideally, keeping the layers a little bit layered is good. If you could do that a little bit better than I did, but I'm pretty happy with that for my first attempt. And I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Do you wanna give it a try?
I would love to give it a try.
I do think it would be really good if it sat in the refrigerator for an hour or 2 and got nice and chilled and set up. I think that would be really good, but we'll go ahead and dig into this and give this a try.
Sweet. We got some super stickers, cat stickers.
Oh, wow.
Which for what it's worth, I can heart any of the super chats that are like text, but I cannot heart the stickers for some reason. So if you see me not hearting that, that's why. It's not a diss to your face. But we got one from Adelia Morales for $10, and it's a dancing dog with heart fans. So picture that in your mind, I guess.
That is so sweet.
And we got one from Brian for $20. That's a dancing pear.
Oh, cute.
It's very fun. It says, "You are amazing."
Thank you. So, the one, I think, trick with trifles is how do you get them out for them to look nice? And I think that looks pretty good. I was going to say something, but I forgot. I can't remember now. Words are escaping me apparently today. So I'm going to grab you a fork and I'll dish myself up and then we'll give this a taste test.
Nice.
So you can use lots of different type of cakes as the base too. For this, I happen to use a pound cake recipe, but you can use angel food cake. Like if you wanted to do a strawberry angel food cake one, you could certainly do that. You could use like a sponge cake or a chiffon cake might be a little bit, might not hold up very well, but let me show you how good this looks. And then we'll do a taste test. Josh and I will do a taste test together.
And maybe you mentioned it, but you got all the fruit from the farmer's market?
Oh,
Like,
there you go. That looks a little bit better than that, but it came out really nicely. Yeah, I went to the farmer's market yesterday.
So it's all nice, fresh fruit.
Delicious fruit. I don't eat a lot of fruit during the year when it's out of season, but when it's in season, I like to eat a lot of fruit. Do you want to turn the volume down? Mm-hmm. He just gave it a try. I'm curious to see how this is going to taste with the cream cheese. Is the volume down?
Yeah, your volume's down. That's really good. The cream cheese adds a fun layer to it. The berries are so good. You ready to go volume up yet? There's a little bit of smacking.
That is so good. This pound cake recipe is fantastic. I really, really like it. And that cream cheese, this would be really good with a pudding too, but I think I really like the cream cheese because it's almost like a no-bake cream cheese cake with pound cake instead of
Like graham crackers or
graham
something?
cracker crust. Pound cake is my favorite cake of all cakes. Cake, I could tend to leave it. There's other things I would rather eat than a traditional like fluffy cake, but a really dense pound. That's why I like my mom's, I just interrupted myself. That's why I like my mom's chocolate cake, the one Josh made for himself for his birthday, because it's a dense chocolate cake. And that's why I really like pound cake, because it's dense and chewy and delicious. And that would, I think, benefit from sitting in the fridge for an hour or two, or even a few hours. If you had a party you were going to in the evening, I think you could totally make, or the day before, you could probably make that up, because it isn't a really soft sponge cake that would just disintegrate. The pound cake, I think, can handle time in the fridge.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that is our trifle that we made. And then I'm gonna check this pound cake here. Oh yeah, that's got
It's
a
gonna have
good,
some time.
that's got a good, probably, I don't know, how long have we been on here? It's probably got a good, because I don't think we set a timer. Did you set a timer?
No, but I think you went in at like 15 after probably.
Oh, so it's been in for about 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's got a bit of time though.
Yeah.
We did just get 2 new super chats. One from Natasha for $10. She says, just want to let you know that I love your channel. I
Aw.
look forward to your videos.
Thank you.
And then one from, sorry, it's either Chemi or Kemi for $20. It says, thank you for the countless hours of wholesome content through the years. God bless.
Thank you. I
very
appreciate
sweet.
that. I appreciate the fact that you guys take time out of your day to hang out with me. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Time is so precious, and so I don't take that for granted at all.
So I have churned through most of the questions that we're comfortable answering. There are a couple that may have been missed. One question is, well, I guess actually going back to the streaming in the garden.
Yeah. Oh,
is
yeah,
something
that's
we've thought about. It takes a little bit more effort. The quality will probably be a little bit worse.
Yeah.
We are in a bit of a wind tunnel. So,
Yes.
And Becky, when she's filming in the garden, you tend to do earlier morning.
At this
Generally.
point of the year, I'm trying to get out there before the heat sets in. So we live in the Pacific Northwest, and summer basically just started for us. We have a very long spring where, we might get an 80-degree day here and there. Typically the highs in the spring are maybe 70, and then summer hits usually around July. So we're just getting to that point where it feels like summer started for us last week, and then once summer hits, it's hot and dry for the rest of the summer. So usually we don't get rain maybe a couple days in between July through September. It can be very, very dry. And so I know that some of you in the South or in other parts of the country, you have been in summer for a month now, but we are just now getting into the heat of summer. And so now I'm trying to get out into the garden early in the morning.
There's someone asked a question about when you think that you'll be collecting veg out of the garden, which prompts a thought. Maybe that would be a good stream of when you do have a
harvest.
significant harvest, to do a harvest stream. That'd be kind of fun.
So I have done now, I think, 4 harvests of cilantro. I've got 2 gallons of cilantro, tons of herbs. I did a big parsley harvest. We have Sugar snap peas just started coming in this last week, and lettuce, and it's just starting for us. So I know that I see people who you all are posting pictures of your tomatoes and your peppers. I did harvest 2 shishito peppers, but we're just at the beginning of it. So we usually aren't in big tomato harvests until mid-August because we're so slow to start getting the heat that these plants need. So
yeah, kind of a bummer. Especially when we see other channels from the south that are harvesting potatoes and stuff already.
Oh yeah, I've got another month before potatoes. But we also don't get all that disease either, and we don't have as many pests to deal with. So there's definitely trade-offs. Like it takes us longer to get into that harvest, but we're just starting to get into it. And then some of my like spring crops didn't do very well, like my cabbages and things, which I would have been able to harvest, but the slugs had other plants. And you all have given me so many tips and tricks on the slug issue. I'm not really seeing them now that we're starting to dry out a little bit, but definitely I will take some of those into consideration if I still see that as a problem.
Great. We have gotten a couple of more super chats. I'm just going to describe the stickers. Becky can't see the screen because it's distracting. So I'm going to describe a sticker from Betty that is what appears to be a small lime with legs
So cute.
reaching up to a taller lemon that's holding out a present.
Oh.
And you've been given that. It's
Thank
very
you.
funny. And then from Lisa Gibbs, she gave you 10 pounds and says, love your videos. And then Mimi, a name which is very familiar. The message says, been here from almost the very beginning.
Oh.
My favorite channel, hands down. I've learned so much. God bless you and your family.
Thank
It's
you.
very sweet. We've definitely recognized Mimi. It stands out. I don't know. There are a couple other questions here, but one of the questions that we had was around how we locate local farmers. We had a question about
that's a very good question.
beef.
So the way that I started finding local farmers in my area, there's a couple ways you can do it. There is a website called localharvest.org, which is a nonprofit website that you can put your zip code in. And that is the website where I found the CSAs that I was a part of for many, many years. CSA stands for Community Supported Agriculture, where you become basically kind of like a member. It's kind of like a subscription. Usually if it's a spring, summer CSA, you would pay them in the winter. And typically CSAs, you get a weekly share of produce that comes out of the farm. And the benefit of that to the farmer is they get the money up front at the beginning of the season when they're needing to buy seeds and things like that. And then, so you can find local farmers on there. The localharvest.org, you can find dairy farmers, meat producers like ranchers, you can find veggies, you can find U-Picks. That's where I go every year for my peaches that I like to go pick. Another way you can find and localharvest.org will also have on there where your local farmers markets are and if there are food events in your area. So Josh and it's been a while since we've done this, but we always found them on localharvest.org. Some farms will do like farm events like tours or dinners in their farm where they bring in a chef and they feed you from their farm. And you can find those types of things on there, which is pretty cool. But you can also go on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and you can find local farmers that way. Or you can go to your local farmers market if you have one, and you can start talking to the farmers. Typically, it's pretty easy to tell. In my area where the farmers markets are, the sellers of the produce don't have to be the producers of the produce. So some farmers markets, if you sell at a farmer's market, you need to produce it. And so some of the farms or some of the stands at the farmer's market, they are buying produce from a produce distributor and selling it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if your goal is to buy from a farmer who's actually growing the produce, talking to the farmers at the farmer's market is really important. And what I have done a lot of times when I have met farmers at farmers markets, and you'll know the ones that are growing the produce because they will more than willing want to talk to you about it because they're excited about what they're doing, is I have asked, hey, you know, in the end of August, do you sell bulk tomatoes or bulk basil? And I've just started talking to the farmers, and I have just bought in bulk items from them when they're needing to off, you know, like they have an abundance and they haven't been able to sell it. A lot of times you can talk to them and say, hey, in, you know, September, when the peppers are coming in, if you have extras, do you sell them at a discount if you buy a bulk amount? So that's what I like to do too. So lots of different ways.
Sweet. I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
From a super chat.
Yeah, that was long-winded. Sorry.
No, that's good.
I get excited about it.
We had a lot of kind of related questions that you answered.
Oh, good. Okay.
From Lady Q, she says, would you do a future segment with your fur babies?
Oh, with my dogs?
Yes.
We've
had questions about like dog food and stuff too. Like do you ever make dog food?
You know, I have never made dog food, and we used to, dog food is something that I have been super interested in making myself, but there's so many conflicting resources out there on like homemade dog food and making sure you get the proper like ratios of protein to carbs to, so I've started to research it, but I haven't, and I buy my dog food at Costco. We used to buy a very expensive dog food that was an organic dog food. Then 2020 hit, I lost my job. Josh was going back to school to get his bachelor's degree, and that dog food was no longer in the budget. So we switched to the organic Costco feed, the organic food from Costco, and they actually did a lot better. They enjoy it quite a bit. They enjoyed it more. They seem like their coats are great. So we've just been using the dried Costco organic food. And I keep seeing the advertisements. I'm sure you have seen them for like the fresh dog foods and things like that. And we just haven't really gone down that road because they seem really happy with the dog food that we buy them. So no, but I am interested in that. I just don't want to like mess up the, you know, the ratios of, anyway, enough about dog food. So I don't know if we would do a dedicated video with them, but they are in the videos all the time because we are live. We did go ahead and they are in our bedroom hanging out, and they are happy to be in there. And so I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. And as we made this beautiful dessert that I think turned out fantastic. And so if you need a really good pound cake recipe, the pound cake would be delicious on its own, or you can turn it into this masterpiece and serve it at an upcoming barbecue or potluck or dinner party or whatever you might have. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. If you want to watch how we made the freezer jam, I'll put a video right here and you can go see how we made the strawberry freezer jam. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and I can't wait to see you next time.